Hello, my name's Stime and I'm the LA Fish Guy. I'd like to invite you to tag along to see how the aquarium industry works from the inside. I'd like to show you freshwater fish, saltwater fish, coral reef, as well as some koi ponds. But you know, it may not always be pretty, and it may not always be paradise, but it is Los Angeles, the city of angels. Welcome to LA Fish Guys.
It's a hot day in LA, but there is no rain. It started as a hobby, which soon I had to get another job to support it. After 6 years of water purification, it was another 6 of water filtration. It was a big step. I didn't know if I would make it. It made me strong. It made me overconfident. It's lasted 20 years though. It bought me a house with my own nickel and 2 quarters. I sometimes wonder how it works. At one time, it was big on the internet, and like so many, I had to try it. Once it did 600 a day, but the sales guys dug it away. I did every other week, counting missed trips on only 1 feet. Twice now, they've spoken their opinion. You'd think I might give it a listen? Times have changed. It's no longer my day. Move along, little doggy. Let the rude boys run away. It's a hot day in LA. We're making a video right this way. It's mixing up and salting it down. We're hanging LEDs. It's finally finished doing it in that beachside town. We're filling it up. That's no clowning around. Especially when algae is growing. We can go surfing now. Come along with me, please, but make sure not to blink. It could all change with a simple, sloppy, wet sneeze. Join me now up in the San Fernando Valley in Studio City as we catch up with Mark Whites of Mark's Tropical Fish.
In our saltwater section, we like to specialize in, this is a tank raised. This is an aquaculture. That means it's been bred in captivity. Clownfish, these are the Ocellaris clowns. Now these clowns have never seen the ocean. So the fact of them coming in here with parasites is next to nothing unless they come in contact with them from someone's infected aquarium. So you're starting off with a fish that has less stress and it is used to the synthetic seawater or natural ocean water. So the transition and acclimation process is very simple for somebody as opposed to the mortality factor of the wild clown, Ocellaris clownfish, is a lot higher due to the fact that those fish go through a lot of stress getting here. That's why we like to specialize for someone especially starting out so they'll have much better luck at their in their new hobby, is to stress to have them buy the tank bred clownfish, or their, as everybody calls them, the Nemo fish. So anyway, I just wanted to bring up a little bit about the clownfish. Sometimes they're called percula clowns, but actually in reality these are Ocellaris clowns. So percula is a wild caught species that has a lot more black mixed in the orange on them.
Way up in the northwest corner of the LA metropolis is the city of Westlake Village. And I've got a reef tank service customer who's on the verge of an algae outbreak. It's a large 200-gallon glass reef tank with some attractive high-tech LED lighting suspended over the top of the tank. Its filter system is a large sump that houses a cone-shaped protein skimmer and 2 canisters that hold different filter medias. At the far end of the sump is what started out as a refugium that held a few mangrove plants.
The current means of nutrient control is with this canister full of GFO. Unfortunately, the flow through it is just not consistent enough to provide any significant benefit. We're going to end up at some point taking this away. For now, though, we're going to install the Surf algae scrubber over here on the reservoir side.
But before we get started on installing the Surf algae scrubber, I need to clean and service the tank first. And that starts with the use of the aquarium cleaning magnets and wiping the algae that's grown on the glass panels away. You know, aside from its lower cost, glass tanks do allow you to use much more aggressive tools with much less fear of scratching the viewing panels. The next step in cleaning is preparing for the large 40-gallon water change, which allows me to siphon out specific areas of debris or clusters of algae. The following step is the backbreaker. It's the 40 gallons of water, all carried in 5-gallon jugs. That's 8 jugs at 45 pounds per jug. That's 360 pounds of water. But that's why they pay me the big bucks. Or is it why my arms are 2 inches longer? And with the water change now completed, it's time to unpack the new Surf algae scrubber from Santa Monica Filtration. The Surf is designed to float on the water's surface, and I'm going to place this in the open refugium end of the sump. Down along the Santa Monica Bay coastline is the Hermosa Beach Pier and Boardwalk. And just up the street, Dan from Age of Aquariums has filled up his 20-foot-long, 1,200-gallon aquarium.
Okay, so here's the filtration room. The water is being pumped from the top of the tank is approximately right here. So we really didn't have enough of a height differential to gravity feed water into the sump. So what we ended up doing is putting some pumps underneath the tank and pumping water into this room. So water is coming from the tank and feeds through these 3 pipes right here into filter socks. This is from our pressurized 1/4 horsepower pump. Water flows through the filter bags, basically protein skimmers in the sump, and then gravity feeds back into the tank through these 4 pipes here. We have 4 returns going back into the pipe. Originally, when we plumbed this, we didn't have these funny T returns back in. And what we had was a vent, but we didn't have these guys coming around like this. And what we found was there was so much water flow, water was actually percolating up through these pipes here, and water was overflowing onto the ground. So we had to make a little modification to actually elbow the pipes back into the filter sump. And that seemed to remedy the situation. It doesn't really happen very often, but every so often we do get a surge and water will come through these pipes. In addition to the protein skimmer, we have a fluidized bed sand filter from All Seas Marine, which is going to provide the biological filtration and the nitrification required for the bio load. This comes off our sump and it's on the open system. Also in this sump is a top-up reservoir. Well, this is a totally divided reservoir, and this is fresh RO water in here. And there's actually a float valve in the aquarium itself, and water will just gravity feed when the float opens up and lower the water in the RO capacity to keep the tank topped off at a constant water level. That pretty much takes care of the closed system. Now the open system, the closed system is fed also from comes through the wall. There's a pump underneath the tank and comes through the wall. And the first thing it goes through, I have to trace this, is the UV sterilizer. So what we've done with all the closed system components is to put a bypass on them. So the water doesn't, it's not in a series, meaning it goes from the UV sterilizer to the particle filter to the chiller and then back in. All the systems have a bypass, or they have a loop, so we can adjust the flow going through each of the components. So as you can see here, water is coming into the UV. It can either go into the UV or it can bypass the UV and go straight out that way. And right now we have the bypass valve. It's about halfway open there, and that allows us to regulate the flow through all the different filtration components. This is a 100 micron filter pleat to give us some extra water clarity. And then we just have our Hamilton chiller on here. Chiller, we're on the beach. We have very low heat generation with our pumps. So the chiller is just gives us that extra edge for those super hot Santa Ana wind days when it might get warm. But probably it'll never even be on. So that's basically the filtration room. We also have a lifeguard controller on. It's a lifeguard monitor on here. Right now it's monitoring pH and temperature. It's hooked up to the internet, and we've got communication with it, and it's got an alert. So we have got some predetermined set parameters which will let us know if the temperature goes beyond a certain temperature. If the pH drops, it's going to let us know that there's an issue. It also has a water sensor monitor, also leak monitor on it, so it'll notify us of any water leaks. So that's basically the filtration room. Should we go look at the tank?
Once again, back up into the San Fernando Valley. My friend Candelario and myself are installing new LED lighting, and we've run into a problem. And it does not involve mounting power strips. It's the connecting cable lengths, as in not being long enough to reach the power supply down below the aquarium.
What's that? Well, this has to be fed in from here, which means I actually have to, can't even grab it anymore. So what I need is a piece of string to shove in that hole, dangle down here, grab a hold of it, tie on to the end of the cord and pull it back up.
Sure. Why don't we use your cord?
Which cord? I think it may have to be something smaller.
Our first attempt is using the cabinet maker's suggestion of dangling an extension cord down.
I have to take and snake this down to the hole where you'll tape the end of that onto this, and we have to pull it back up. Okay? Here, oops, is...
And with Condi grabbing the dangling power cord and pulling it through, we can now use some tape to attach to the LED's power supply and pull it up through the cavity to above the aquarium.
How much of that you gonna give me?
Or what?
Of that cord? Where's the ballast sitting?
The ballast is right on top of the...
I'm gonna end up giving you back all the slack. Because I don't think I want that ballast sitting on top.
I'm not going with that right there.
I've used an extension and secured its connection. Now I can feed the excess cord back down so that Condi can locate a position that's safe for the ballast so it's not exposed to any water or spills. With the power source now positioned and secured, we can now mount the LED strips to the inside top of the cabinet. These current brand LED light strips use a machine screw to attach mounting brackets at their ends.
A sheet metal screw that I found out in the van or something, and shoving it in there and getting it to thread.
Those machine screws don't always thread correctly.
Get this camera away from me right now. Can't you see I'm having problems putting this thing inside? Jim, get this guy away from here.
TMZ.
But with perseverance and a bit of humor, we now move forward and are able to mount the strips firmly.
Right, well, I would think the first thing we would do is, now that those brackets are...
No, I just
if
try
we
to put
can
the...
borrow his power drill, lift it up and put your screws in and just screw that bracket right in.
Oh, let me put the other two brackets in.
I got them on.
They're on?
Yeah.
Okay, let me yell now.
It's now time to lift up and confirm the LED light strip's
So this
position.
is basically.
Well, if you're there, they're 6 inches from the end. I'm an inch over. I didn't take into consideration the end, so you could come back a ½ inch if you wanted to.
And with Condi's steady grip and the battery-operated drill, he drives the mounting bracket screws into place.
Oh, wow, that was really screwed there.
Are you still tumbling biopellets? Tired of constantly replacing your GFO? Or trying to grow algae in your refugium? And you still have algae problems? Get real. Real filtration, that is. Algae scrubbers from Santa Monica Filtration will turn this into this by growing this weekly. 2 styles of scrubbers, the Hog and the Surf. Both are extremely easily installed and noticeably effective. You want results? Algae scrubbers are the answer. Visit santa-monica.cc. Next time you're near Long Beach, California, take the time to stop in at Age of Aquariums, 2642 Cherry Avenue, just off the 405 freeway near Signal Hill. Age of Aquariums carries a full line of dry goods, supplements, and exotic equipment. Age of Aquariums also carries a wide assortment of living corals, coral frags, as well as fresh and saltwater fish, ranging from the usual, the unusual, and the bizarre. Age of Aquariums is located at 2642 Cherry Avenue, Long Beach, California, near Signal Hill. Open 7 days a week. Call 562-438-6252 or visit ageofaquariums.biz. North of downtown Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley, just off Ventura Boulevard in Studio City, is Mark's Tropical Fish. Mark carries living corals, fresh and saltwater fish, as well as koi and pond supplies. And he personally selects all the livestock to be sure that what is carried out the door is the best that he can offer his customers.
A lot of our saltwater fish that come into the shop, I select all fish that come into this store. Most dealers are very particular about that, are proud of their shop and run a good tight ship, so to speak. They like to pick out their own fish. I have been doing that since 1981 here in this shop. Every fish that physically comes into the store, I pick out with a net myself. I don't have anybody else picking my fish. Over the years, I've developed an eye for selecting a particular specimen due to the fact that when you go down to a fish supplier or wholesaler, there's lots of the same fish in the, let's say, cubes. For instance, these types of cubes right here have all kinds of fish in them, and it's up to you to select the healthiest ones. Sometimes the fish themselves have something that's in a way a blemish on them, or it could be the beginning of a disease, or you can see they're too skinny, or they happen to not ship very well. So using the expertise of years of experience, I have a tendency to go for only the most healthiest specimens because I've developed a keen eye for that type of thing. Same goes in the freshwater department. I do the same thing. I pull all the freshwater fish that go into the shop. Being because I'm very particular, being in the hobby for over 50 years, I have always been very particular and taken a lot of pride of the fish that I bring into the shop. At the same time, I also use one of the more expensive saltwater mixes available in the hobby today, which is the Tropic Marin mix that originally comes out of Germany. Is a 70 element formula. It has colloids in it, so when you mix it up and you add it to your, after you've done your mixing and you add it to the aquarium, the fish actually swim right into the new water as opposed to cowering over in the corner where they have a tendency to some of the less expensive salt mixes. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but they really need to be mixed up for a longer period of time than people allow them to, because what happens is people say, oh, the water looks clear. They pour their salt in their mixing container and they mix it up, and in 10 or 15 minutes the salt water is, oh, it's clear, my synthetic sea mix is ready now to go into the aquarium. They throw their pump in it or they bucket it into the aquarium. That is not true. That is a fallacy. The actual manufacturers of the salt mix, especially at Tropic Marin, they say it takes at least 45 minutes for the water chemistry to come together in a salt mix. So anytime you're mixing up a synthetic sea mix, I would never recommend that anybody use it before at least a 45-minute period of good agitation. I don't mean taking a wooden spoon and just going like this once in a while. I'm talking a small recirculating pump in there, mixing all the ingredients together. Remember, that's sometimes up to 70 elements that have to be mixed with water that you're adding to the actual salt synthetic sea mix itself. So molecularly, it is impossible for that stuff to gel in 10 or 15 minutes. So what I would do is when you get yourself a little mixing tank, whether you use a heavy-duty Rubbermaid trash can type of, or a fiberglass mixing tank, or another aquarium, I would definitely let your water mix a minimum of 45 minutes before you use it. That is your synthetic sea mix.
Way out the 101 freeway in Westlake Village, I've just completed a 40-gallon water change in a coral reef tank. We're now going to install the Surf Algae Scrubber.
So the Surf Algae Scrubber is designed to float at the surface of the water in the reservoir. This foam border around here will provide the buoyancy. Within inside is a watertight and waterproof set of LEDs. The Surf 4 has 2 sets of LED lights within it. The Surf comes with an abundance of airline tubing, and inside the interior of the Surf unit is the green grabber media as well as these strings, and all of this is designed to provide surface area for the attachment of various algae. Keep in mind, it's those algae that are going to remove the nutrients out of the water. And down here inside the filter system, we've got a open end, or what was at one time a refugium, and that's where we're going to float the Surf unit. We're going to end up placing the air pump over here, so I'll probably run the airline tubing and the power cords back behind there. But again, this is the section where the water coming in from the tank used to be a refugium, and we'll just allow the Surf to float right here.
The Surf Algae Scrubber uses heavy aeration to cause a large movement of water to percolate in and through the unit. The Surf 4 has multiple airline inputs and easily connects to a strong air pump. Unlike its cousin, the Hog Algae Scrubber, which grasps the side of your sump, filter, or tank, the Surf Algae Scrubber floats at the surface of your sump, refugium, or aquarium. It's available with 2 different size air pumps depending upon which size unit you purchase. The Surf 4 uses a strong piston-driven air pump, and while strong produces more air pressure, there's also an increase in the operating noise, which is why a smaller, quieter version is also offered. The Surf 4 includes the Super Luft air pump and a 4-outlet gang valve, which easily connects both the air pump and the 4 air lines from the surf together.
So we've got our air pump positioned back here with the gang valve on there, and then the air lines lead over to the floating portion of the surf unit. One of the concerns that a lot of people have is the noise level produced. Unfortunately, air pumps are not always the most quiet, and these units, especially the Surf 4 being one of the largest units, requires a pretty strong pump. So there's got to be a little bit of a noise level acceptance, I guess would be the word. Noise is always a problem with people in aquariums, and a lot of times when a brand new aquarium goes up, it's really a big concern because you go from 0 noise to aquarium noise. So any increase is obviously more than what it was and takes some adjustment. So let's go ahead and plug this unit in. We've got a spot dedicated up here. There's the air pump running. There's all the aeration that's occurring inside there. So you've kind of got 2 noises right off the bat to kind of deal with. One would be the air pump noise. I suppose this one could be put in another location. I mean, I'm lifting it up. I don't hear any real change in the noise level there. You could try to muffle it in a shoebox or something, but I think in the long run, that's just going to create a problem and more frustrations as a result of all the work and effort to try to quiet it down and not accomplishing much. The bubbling noise, I think that'll end up disappearing real quick, like here as soon as we put the LED lights back on top of it. So far that was a pretty slick and simple installation.
Back down in the sand at Hermosa Beach, the locals are playing volleyball. And just up the street, Dan from Age of Aquariums out of Long Beach proudly walks in to show us his completed version of the 1,250-gallon aquarium system.
So here's the finished product here. You can see the cabinets put all around it. There is we got access up above. We've got our LED lighting, it's all lit up. And we just started with some starter fish called mono sea bass. And that's what's swimming around here now, just to get the biological cycle going and test out the water to make sure that there's nothing toxic in the water. And
the LED lights appear to flicker, but that's something that affects my camera. In person, the LED lights provide an impressive shimmer as it illuminates the artificial coral reef. Dan is doing a traditional biological cycle or development of the living biological filter, meaning he's introduced inexpensive and yet hardy fish that will introduce the initial bacterias, thus starting the cycle. And yet, at the same time, these fish can endure the 30 to 45 day period of elevated ammonia and nitrite. There is no live rock or live sand in this system. This approach may take longer than you might wish, but in large public systems, it's best to be slow and sure than fast, foolish, and get tanked. Back up in the valley and just down the street from Van Nuys Boulevard in Sherman Oaks, Condi and I are just finishing installing the LED lights over the top of the 150-gallon aquarium. It's now time to start putting the gravel and the water into the tank. But it looks like I forgot my scoop, and Condi's using a net to transfer the gravel into the tank. Being a bit impatient, I've suggested we use a 5-gallon bucket to speed things up a bit. The bigger bucket does move more of the gravel. And that gets us to the point of filling the tank up with water. This tank, being a freshwater tank, I can use tap water directly from the faucet. Aside from some dechlorinator, this source of aquarium water is just fine for a freshwater application. Additionally, the wet-dry trickle filter will quite capably vent any remaining chlorine out of the water. And it'll be a few days before the homeowner or Condi, the new service person, will begin to add any new fish to the tank.
Hey, my name's Jim Stime and I'm the LA Fish Guy. I'd like to take just a moment of your time to mention that not only is LA Fishguys made in America, but it's also internationally known. And I'd like to take a moment to give a big shout out to my 3 new friends from the Netherlands. That's Twan, Thomas, and Robin. And they're big fans of the show. Recently, it was both Thomas and Robin's birthday, and they got an amazing birthday cake. An actual LA Fishguys homemade cake from Twan's girlfriend, Stephanie. Wow, guys, that's awesome. It's feedback like this that really makes it worth all the effort. Thank you.
Do you have an aquarium question? Are you looking for aquatic answers? Just key in wetwebmedia.com. Wet Media has information on freshwater, marine, brackish, and planted aquariums. Wet Media is staffed by the capable Wet Media crew. Check today's facts, ask questions, or search keywords. That's wetwebmedia.com.
Hi, my name's Dean from Tropical Imports here in Glendale, California. We have all different types of tropical fish, freshwater and saltwater. We have reptiles, freshwater plants, goldfish, saltwater invertebrates. We've got all different types of little aquariums here for betas, for tropical fish, mini, nano reef, for plants, saltwater fish. I've got all different types of bowls. Whatever you like, we've got it.
Reef Hobbyist magazine believes that our hobby, our fellow hobbyists, and the animals in our care are best served by the free distribution of quality information. Reef Hobbyist magazine provides hobbyists with critical husbandry information with an emphasis on marine ornamental breeding efforts. Reef Hobbyist magazine is available for free in local fish stores across the country, or you can subscribe at www.reefhobbyistmagazine.com. Just off Laurel Canyon in the Hollywood Hills is Mark's Tropical Fish in Studio City. Join us as Mark discusses making synthetic saltwater.
As far as making synthetic seawater at home, I would say that city water generally for what we call fish-only aquariums, that is aquariums that do not have any invertebrate life or possibly live corals, we like to stay away from tap water due to that our city water really isn't designed to replicate coral reef purity. So what we like to do is we recommend to customers that they use reverse osmosis or reverse osmosis deionized water. We sell it here in the shop, or you can buy your own system at home. Relatively inexpensive systems that will take our tap water and turn it into a much better, higher quality water that's suitable for live corals and invertebrates such as anemones and the LPS and SPS corals that many of you have in your aquariums. So what we do is we take the reverse osmosis water and we mix it with the synthetic sea mix, and we have a much purer end product. Using your local tap water, I'm sure would be okay for your standard saltwater fish and folks that have a saltwater fish only aquarium. The suggestions that I've given you today I hope will help you in your hobby. Again, a lot of the opinions are my own and the philosophy of my shop here in Studio City, Mark's Tropical Fish. And I hope that I have enlightened some of you out there that have had some questions, and we've touched on some of the subjects that may be interesting to all of you. Again, these are my opinions, and I hope that I've helped you guys and gals out there in making a more productive and more enjoyable hobby, and making it a lot easier in the long run to keep your tropical fish for many years to come.
Soaring up to the northwest edge of the Los Angeles metropolis is the city of Westlake Village. I'm in the process of easily installing the surf algae scrubber.
So this is the LED lights that'll illuminate and grow the algae in there. This being the Surf 4 has 2 sets of lights inside of it, and as a result has 2 different sets of ballasts. The tank has a computer or an aquarium computer on there, and supposedly the outlets which have been defined for these lights have already been programmed, so hopefully they'll come on. Now they should run for at least 18 hours for the first week, but with the Surf 4 we're only going to run 1 set of those lights. So let's go ahead and install it, and at the same time see if there's any decrease in the noise once we put the light module back on top of the Surf unit.
As simple as it was to install, the LED light module simply seats itself into the top of the Surf unit.
And there's your LED lights, your percolating water, green grabber, as well as the strings for growing algae. It was a pretty simple installation. That was a pretty simple installation, and the 2 real remaining tests will be the noise level and does it remove the algae from the tank. As far as the noise level is concerned, we can start on that right now. This is with the cabinet doors open. That's with the cabinet doors closed.
Come with me back down to the sandy shores of Hermosa Beach, and just a couple of blocks up, Dan from Age of Aquariums has delivered a 20-foot long aquarium. Used a hydraulic stacker to lift and position the 1,250-gallon tank, wrestled with plumbing and glue, dealt with a problem or 2, and now is able to admire the results of his efforts.
So they just cut out where our pipes, you can just see where the pipes go through. And then we have a fridge here for, I don't know if it's in here yet. Oh yeah, they got the fridge for feeding for the fish food. So that's for the fish food. Looks like it's on. And then that's where our pumps are.
Conveniently located within 1 door are all the valves and both water pumps. This provides service-friendly access and control. Placed behind hanging door panels is the top of the tank and the suspended LED lights. Note that the flickering is some interference with my camera.
So this is actually a controllable LED, and I'm controlling it now with my iPhone. So I have an app on here by Sunbright, and I'm going to open this up here, and I'm going to go through the demo on the light right now. So it dims up to bright. That's max power. Then it dims back down again. That is a lightning function, and that's full brightness. Now it's dimming down to sunset, and that's the moonlights going on. That's a fully controllable LED light, which is programmed via your iPhone. And at night it's spectacular.
That I can imagine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reflection.
Yeah.
For fear of not wanting algae in the tank, do you shut the lights off a lot in the evening, or do you leave them on?
No, it's on. They shut off about 11 or so, and they're on like 1% or something. They're just barely on. But even this is at 20% blue and 8% white right now.
So this can get a whole lot brighter.
This could, yeah, this could. You saw what it did when I put it on demo. If you look at the center one, That's how bright it gets if you wanted it to. You know, the fish going up there, something's happening.
So does it go through all those programs by itself then?
Yeah, I can program it all. I just had it on the demo, so I actually have it programmed. So it kind of ramps up during the day and then it shuts down at night. And the moonlight stays on until about 11 o'clock at night. So it's just like a nice blue hue in here in the evenings.
Very cool.
But it's amazing how bright it is with just that 20%. And what's interesting is you can play with the color ratio also, so we get a really nice hue to it. You're not stuck with just changing fluorescent bulbs. You can change the color of the LEDs to really give exactly the color you want. It's really a really flexible light.
Just down the street from the world-famous Sherman Oaks Galleria, Condi and I have just filled up the 150-gallon aquarium, and water is now running into the wet-dry trickle filter.
I'm going to step in over the top of you because right now this pump will not prime until that is turned up and lets the air bubble out.
Let's go outside now.
That's not bad noise at all. That sure beats the pants off in a wonky pump.
Using some tape, I can mark the maximum water level. Knowing this will decrease the potential for future power outage spills or floods.
That's minimum, huh?
In addition to marking the maximum, I'll also mark the minimum running water level in the filter. This will help the homeowner maintain a properly operating filter system.
Where exactly it is.
One way or another we'll figure out. Thank you.
Cool. All right.
And that does look good. That does look very nice.
Now that the cabinet makers have finished and the tank is filled up, it's time to begin to decorate it. Here in the beginning, the decorations will be a variety of various plastic plants. Since Condi will be the one servicing the tank, I've offered him the chance to decorate it in his own style. And I've purchased a wild variety of sizes and color choices. And within a short period of time, aside from the water's slight haziness, Condi has created a colorful and attractive underwater world. So as I adjust the water level in the wet-dry trickle filter below, and Condi wipes off and cleans the front viewing panels of the aquarium, it seems like we're ready to call it a day. So that completes the installation of the 150-gallon freshwater tank. You can see Condi's done some awesome work on the plastic plants inside of here. The cabinetry turned out really nice. We had one little situation here where the face or the frame didn't come over the top far enough, which unfortunately is a very common mistake with cabinet makers because they're not aquarium people, but we've got a couple of solutions to take care of that. In the meantime, I'm very pleased with the way that the water pump turned out as far as the noise level, which is very acceptable. The wet-dry trickle filter's working out well. The LED lights look good inside the tank. It's not going to overwhelm the system with an abundance of light, causing an abundance of algae growth. And that wraps up both the 150 and the 1250-gallon tank setups here in LA. But there still is no rain. We finished up visiting some local fish shops and heard what they had to say. We never completed our stories with the wholesalers. Who knows? Maybe we'll get invited back someday. But please, no clenched teeth. A lot has changed in these past many days. It's been suggested the too long version puts people into a sleepy haze. It is too big and way too complex. The future for the episodes will be back to me, as there just were no big checks. But you can count on this. Always keep moving forward.